All right, what is up? Welcome to the Spoiler Kings. My name is Tank Kramer with Brian the Grizzly, Brandman, Brandon, and Nzo from Bigger Ford Entertainment joining us today. What is up, guys?
Chilling.
Yeah, we're just
Chilling.
having a good day. It's a good Monday. We get
Yeah.
to enjoy this weekend, and this weekend we got to watch all these things. So it was cool to kind of talk about it.
Yeah, so a
Mhm.
big movie weekend, and we finally got the movie that I think we all been kind of waiting for. We saw the trailers, we're hyped for the trailers and everything like that. With the Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. I believe this is what the fourth
The
Fourth.
one, right? So
Even though we tried to not think about the third, but it's the fourth.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So it's out on Netflix streaming now. So if you haven't watched it, hit pause on this video, go check it out because we're going to talk about spoilers, all that fun stuff. We're going to get into our ratings, our likes, our dislikes. So make sure you come back and join us with that discussion. And if you are live, leave a comment and we will get into the comments towards the back end of our review. But before we jump in, Brian, you got a breakdown of what this one is about?
I sure did not. I only do it every single time, and it's like, oh man, maybe I should have a breakdown, huh?
Act like you've been doing this for a while, Brian. Come on,
I know
man.
I'm new. You know what? It's funny. Like I do this every week. All I talk about is doing this stuff, and I still not ready. Terrible.
The Homer Simpson. It's my first day.
Exactly. Let's run that back one more time. Go ahead, give me that intro.
All right. So Brian got a breakdown of what this Axel F is about. What you got?
Cool. After his daughter's life is threatened, wisecracking detective Axel Foley teams up with his new partner and some old pals to turn up the heat on a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, nice old school conspiracy theory movie. So we'll start off with our likes. We'll start off with Nzo, and then we'll just go around the horn with Brandman, Brian, and then me. So what you like about this one, Nzo?
I liked a lot of the nostalgia stuff. They kind of kept it pretty simple and went back to the old school Beverly Hills Cop stuff, right? Like I said, we don't talk about three. Three was horrible. And I actually went back and watched one and two before I watched this one. And I seen a lot of similarities to it. I'm like, okay, this is good. It wasn't as funny to me, but I liked Eddie Murphy. It didn't feel like he was phoning it in. He actually felt like he cared about this movie. I thought Kevin Bacon was really good as the bad guy. I liked seeing him in there. That was great. And just to see the old cast back together. And I think that's one of the things that the third one was missing is that it didn't have everybody in it, you know? As much as I would have liked to see more of the three of them together, I enjoyed that we had Taggart in there, Rosewood in there, Surge was in there, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that. We get to the dislikes, I will, but also the new characters, I thought were pretty good too. The daughter, not so much, but we'll get into that when we get to the dislikes. But but other than that, yeah, I thought it was really good. I didn't hate this one. It stayed true to form.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you Brandman, what you like about it?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Anzo said. Eddie Murphy was very much in this element. Like I think even in a lot of Eddie Murphy's like horror movies, I think he himself is always a highlight. But when the movie's up to par, when the content's up to par, he especially shines, and that's kind of what I found to be the case here. I also agree. It very much did the kind of did nostalgia the correct way without completely banking on it. I thought. Um, I liked a lot of the shootout scenes and the action sequences were really impressive. From especially when you take in consideration this was a first time feature film director doing this one. Like a lot of it kind of reminded me of GTA. I thought a lot. I think yeah, having Taggart and Rosewood back, they still very played very well off of each other, the three of them, and I liked that. A lot of this, a lot of the supporting characters. Kevin Bacon just plays a great asshole.
Yeah.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a good addition. I've liked him in everything that I've seen him in. So I thought that I was pleasantly surprised. I went in, expecting to be entertained, and I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. Because this easily could have been another Coming to America sequel, and thankfully it wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about you, Brian?
It couldn't be another Coming to America because they actually spent money on this. This wasn't done in one person's house, and we're going to do scenes in different rooms. No, they actually spent $150 million on making it. They advertised it. They put marketing budget in. I mean, it was over $200 million at the end of the day. They put their foot in it to make this movie, and you could tell the difference. The scenes were good. You're actually using things. It wasn't like a toy helicopter that they kind of threw in there. Like, oh yeah, look, watch this. They actually were doing things. I thought that was much better. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I love him. I've always thought he was a really good actor. Even though he had the hair like this, like it was, every time he moved up, it was just like, it's kind of like another character. But I think he's a interesting character. I liked him. I'm not gonna talk about what I don't like, but it was interesting. It was funny, but I think Eddie Murphy can tell that he was getting older. Because a lot of his comedy takes a lot of energy to do, to really hit that punchline, you gotta be all over the place. And Eddie Murphy's 63 years old and got like 11 kids, so that makes every kid puts like 5 more years on you. So Eddie Murphy's like 152 years old. That's just what it is. All right, and you can tell that he doesn't have the energy to put in all that stuff into each one. Even though he looks good and he's able to do a lot of stuff, I think that he kind of, you can tell his age a little bit more. What's up, Danny?
Hey, Danny.
But I enjoyed the movie a lot.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, for me, like I wasn't sure what we were gonna get, like, because Eddie Murphy's a little bit older, and it's either his Coming to America wasn't good, his Dolomite was amazing. So I was like, what are we gonna get? And this, I thought he was great, in it. From the first action scene, it was the first scene of the movie, I'm like, oh, okay. I this is what I expected, this is what I want, and they just like kind of kept giving you those old school action, like it had the music nonstop, the Axel F, kind of song, this different versions of it played the entire, it was awesome.
You can do it sadder. Doom,
Yeah.
doom, 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 doom.
And then they did like no one, and they did like it was great. I enjoyed that a lot. He definitely had that vibe of the like 80s, early 90s kind of thing. But yeah, just seeing Eddie Murphy being like Eddie Murphy and not like being able to drop the F-bomb and having fun. This looks like he had fun doing this, yeah, because even like the one scene, I don't know why it just cracked me up, was when they're in the truck and he's like, oh, you all feel safe. Everyone feels safe, and Gordon Joseph Levitt is in the middle. He goes, I don't got a seatbelt.
Yeah.
I was like, he just was so like like loud and like intense. It was great. So yeah, I enjoyed like him, Eddie Murphy, seeing Eddie Murphy again, and not being like held back, for whatever reason. It was old school Eddie, but obviously older.
I think
the Donkey. If you hear Donkey every once in a while, he was talking about stuff or say stuff.
When he talked about the layers, and talk about the layers and being an onion, I laughed.
Yeah.
You should have called him Shrek.
And I think two was way too not two, three. They tried to do way too silly. I think three was they tried to do. I'm sorry, and two they tried to do it a lot more action packed, right? And I think this one had a balance, just like the first one, right? Of course, not as good as the first one, obviously, but I think there was more of a balance of the seriousness and the joke stuff in this. So I really enjoyed that. Two of my scenes that stick out to me is the one where they're ransacking Rosewood's house and he walks in there and he does his actual Axel Foley stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the scene where he goes to the hotel and he's like, hey, and he's like, oh man, I'm too old for this. You guys got a room, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm,
That makes sense. Yeah, those are my two scenes. I loved it.
yeah, but yeah, anything else that you guys might like before we move on?
I think it
About
just
it.
I think that
aged
was
well.
just,
I think it aged
yeah.
really, really well. Like the
Mhm.
the way, as kind of what Anzo was just saying, like he's still, you can tell he's getting older, so it's okay to get older. And he's not the same guy he used to be, and neither was Billy, neither was Taggart. None of them were the same, but they were. They're just older
Mhm.
versions, and I think at least it grew up with you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I hate when you have movies that they're all the same still. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna have the Incredibles 3. We're gonna have they're gonna be the same damn age. Like, no, they should grow up with us. Like, I like seeing the character grow and be older. It's okay to be older because we're older.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the great part because when they're doing the shootout and Taggart comes and he goes on the floor and he's like, I don't think I can get back up. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And Danny, Billy didn't get killed because they needed something from him. That's why they didn't
Exactly.
kill him. I was with you. I'm like, wait, Billy's still alive? But it's because they were looking for something from Billy, so they had to keep him alive because he was the only one that knew where it was.
Yeah.
But
Talking about that one.
mhm.
Yeah, that didn't bother. Like I got that. I enjoyed that they beat him up and they tortured him. He
Mhm.
even said
Torture.
got
Yeah.
tortured for 2 days. So that
Mhm.
was kind of cool. But yeah, it was definitely like old school cop. Because before it was like, oh, this guy from Detroit's in Beverly Hills. Now it's like you still have that, but now it's like, oh, but now you're old school kind of cop, and you're in the new
Mhm.
school kind of environment. So and I thought they meshed it very well without being like in your face, and it was like, oh, that's not how we do it now, and blah blah blah. Like they brought it up, but it wasn't like annoying about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because they didn't harp on it.
Yeah, yeah. They make
And
jokes. The
and
jokes bad.
yeah.
They're quick and they're funny, and then they move on. Like, yeah,
And the scene where the end scene where they're in the car together, that classic scene, where the three of them in the car. I love that. I thought that, and
Yeah.
when I watched that scene, it just felt like they didn't miss a beat. You know what I mean? Road was like, "Hey, I
Mhm.
got a question to ask you. How often do you and your wife have sex?" And I'm like, "Okay, that is." I'm like, "This is exactly Beverly Hills Cop kind of stuff." So I really enjoyed that.
I
yeah.
thought they're gonna do the banana into the tailpipe. I thought he was gonna come up and put the banana in the tailpipe, especially since he was talking about how often do you and your wife have sex. And I
Uh,
thought I thought that was gonna be a good play on things. But it is what it is.
yeah,
The
Mhm.
reason why they didn't do that is because Eddie Murphy didn't want to do it. I watched an interview with him where they said they kept asking him, "Let's do the banana in the tailpipe. Let's do the banana in the tailpipe." And he was like, "Why?" It's like they're like it's funny, but he didn't want to do the banana tailpipe
oh, really?
thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, he
Man,
didn't
see, I
want
wish Charlie Murphy was around because Charlie Murphy would have made him do
to.
it.
All right. So I know he said they're watching it now and stuff like that. So here's a question before we get into the bad stuff. So did Mike and Marcus show up at the end? I don't know what he's talking about.
No.
No, so the idea that
No,
the
but
Bad Boys came from Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop. That's the
Oh,
point
okay.
of that's how they Bad Boys is like almost a spinoff from that.
I got it.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's because I'm like, was there a Mike and Marcus in like number 3? Because I don't remember 3. So I was like, did I miss something? So
3 is the one you don't want to remember. I
yeah,
tried to watch it again, and I'm just like, no, this is really
yeah,
bad. It's
You don't want to
just
go to Wonder World?
no, no, no. It's just really bad. And Eddie Murphy knows it too. He says they all say it. Like if you watch the interviews, they all talk about, yeah, 3 wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Like they all say it. So they all know that 3 wasn't good. And if you watch 3, it's like Eddie Murphy was just getting a paycheck at that point. He was just like, whatever, But
that's
he felt
Mhm.
this one felt like he more cared about the story and everything. So I enjoyed that.
yeah. Okay. So we'll get into our negatives. What didn't you like about this one, Anzo?
So the daughter, and even the relationship with the daughter, I didn't really enjoy that. You're a grown woman, get over it by now. You know what I mean? Like, I get people hold on to things in heart, but
Yeah.
it's just I didn't believe it. I didn't feel like it was like genuine, you know. So I didn't really enjoy that part. One of the things, like I said, is I wish I would have seen more of Rosewood Taggart and Eddie Murphy together. I think
Mhm.
that's where it was lacking a few things. But other than that, all in all, there's not much that I didn't like about
Yeah. Okay. What are you, Brian, man?
I agree with the daughter subplot. It was just too. You've seen that so many times in movies, and usually it's, let's face it, usually it works a lot better if the daughter character or the child character is exactly that, a child. But we're talking about a 30-something-year-old woman, like, and you at that point in time you kind of have to come to grips with why your dad would do that and be okay with it. So it just really seemed derivative and something that we've seen over and over and over again. They could have done without that. I think they also made it kind of obvious early on who the villain in all this was.
it.
It was very much a no brainer from the introduction of that character.
Even
So
before they even introduced Kevin Bacon, you saw Kevin Bacon standing next to him. He was like, "Kevin Bacon's the bad guy."
yeah, yeah. So my point exactly. Um, so yeah, that kind of was like, come on. But yeah, those were the only two elements for me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what's funny though? To your point though, I agree with you. It's like we found out who he was more often, but like right away. But I'm not sure if I would have liked, or if I would have liked it more if we had not found out, and then all of a sudden Kevin Bacon shows up as the bad guy. You know, you think it's one person,
Mhm.
then oh no, the big guy is Kevin Bacon. So I kind of in between there, where I think maybe you could have hit it a little bit better, but at the same time, I'm
Mhm.
kind of glad that it wasn't that, okey doke, where it's like we think it's one guy, and then all of a sudden we have one more big guy, and it's Kevin Bacon. So, because that's
Yeah.
played out too.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Brian?
I mean, the relationship with the daughter doesn't make any sense. If we go through all this stuff and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, and now we can have a good relationship together, like, then you could have done that beforehand. Like, you are an adult. We obviously you act like him. You see these things. You are. He said something like, the child's always a child, and the father's always the father, or the parent's always the parent, and that's true until you become 21 years old and you got to be responsible for your own thing. And then you can understand why some of the parents do things that, because you see it from a different scope. That's part of growing up. So I thought that was stupid. And I felt like it's derivative, kind of like what Brandman was saying. It's like Die Hard. It was literally taken right from Die Hard. Like, it was the exact same relationship. Well, I
Mhm.
changed my last name, but today I'm a McLean. No, today I'm a Foley. No, it's just
Mhm.
it's too derivative. Like, you could have done better because everything else was better. I thought that was just out of place.
Mhm.
Totally. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the same. The daughter thing is just, it just was you know, I just didn't care about it. Or they could have done it better at the very least.
Mhm.
I could have done it better. Like, there could have been a bigger reason why, like like she decided not to talk to him. I don't know. I just think they took the easy way out and just kind of went with it, and didn't do anything crazy with it. And then the bad guy, so I was kind of like Anzo. I was like kind of in the middle with the bad guy because I'm like, oh, right off the bat, it's him, and like in the next scene, like he's next to the goons,
yeah.
so obviously he's the bad guy. So I was kind of mad with it until towards the end where I'm like, oh, so the whole time was like, you're the bad guy, and we know you're the bad guy, but we have to prove that you're the bad guy. So I didn't hate it as much toward the end, but for most of the movie, I was like, I just wish I didn't know he was the bad guy. But then it didn't kind of matter because they still needed to prove he was, the big baddie. So I don't know. But it was kind of with the bad guy. It was more about the action and the mystery of figuring out what's on the drive, where's the drive, all that kind of stuff. But the number one thing was what Nzo said, having the three of them not together, like for the entire movie was.
I don't think that would have worked.
I don't know if that would have worked.
It would have been too much. It would have been too nostalgia. You're depending too much on nostalgia instead of having a movie that actually could stand on his own 2 feet. If you do that, I think the scene was good. I would have liked the scene that scene in the middle, and then at the end. In the middle to give you kind of prepare for it, and you see them together again, and then at the end for the jokes. I thought that waiting to the end was a mistake.
Yeah. The first time you see them all together was right at the end, and that's the only time you see them all together, and then that's it. So.
And I understand where you're coming, but I think it could have worked, right? You had these 3 old men doing kind of some of the same stuff you've seen in like the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop, but now they're older, they're more wiser, so they're trying to like do it differently. You know what I mean? But it still ends up to the same kind of destruction and stuff like that. Just like with the daughter, I think if you would have gave them a good relationship and you had the daughter more like a female Axel Foley, you know what I mean? I think that would have worked a little bit better instead of just having this disjointed "I don't like you" and then "hey, we get back together" kind of thing,
But then when you do that, don't you take the chance of people being stupid and calling it woke? You're gonna let her take over for him, like all that stuff. Instead, you have the female version of Logan, the female version of all the superheroes we just had, and then we have this now, the female version of Axel Foley. You're taking it, and you're gonna make people, instead of enjoy Beverly Hills Cop for what it is, they're gonna say you're trying to change it to him, change it to her. The same thing that if you don't believe me, look at Indiana Jones.
No, so I agree with you, but you don't give her, like, if you watch all those other movies, the person like the girl Logan, Indiana Jones, they have a ton of screen time, like just as much as the main character. I think if you just put her in spots where she's doing things that remind you of Axel Foley, like when they went to the hotel and he's like, "Oh, or the restaurant," and he's like, "I'm so and so," and then she comes in and she adds on to that. You keep little scenes like that, but you don't over push her. I think it works better that way.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That would have been Die Hard too, though, right? That would have been Live Free and Die Hard with the son.
Die Hard, whatever Live Free Die Hard. Yeah. I like what they did with her, where she's like, I don't like my dad so much is that I'm going to do the opposite of him. Is like, I'm going to help, the bad guys, quote unquote, what they were saying. So, but I think they still, for me, I think they still showed enough that they were kind of the same. This wasn't enough. It was like they thought the same, and they kind of thought this, like, had the same thought process of figuring things out. But I think they could have gone a little bit more that, like, maybe they are very alike,
more alike than you thought,
Or they say at the end, she says something like, "Are you stupid? Do you not understand? You have always been my hero," or something like, "I've always looked up to you."
Yeah. After she got out of the handcuffs and stuff like that, all the stuff she said she forgot, she obviously did. You could have put a nice little family moment in there, but it was the Eddie Murphy movie for sure.
Absolutely.
One last good thing I forgot to mention was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. At first, I didn't like him. I'm like, I think he's gonna be an annoying character, and then he winds up having the most kills out of everyone in the entire movie. The dude gets out of the car, shoots 2 people, goes over, shoots 2 more. Like, bro, you're just killing everybody, man. Like, he killed.
He was so funny.
Movie.
It's because everyone else is shooting guns. And just pop, 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 pop. He's like, like he's doing what everyone else thinks. Like, why are you wasting so many bullets? Why are you shooting like a Star Trooper? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
you know, you actually are doing with your job. So that was cool.
And,
So,
and you
yeah.
see
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And
I like that they made him competent. You know, they easily could have made a character like that just the butt of the Axel Foley's jokes and just kind of there to be a punchline. But I appreciated that they actually made him like a competent cop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
The although the gag with the with the helicopter was pretty funny to me.
yeah,
It's good. I like that.
me too. I thought it was good. And he's like scared to fly the helicopter. He's like, yeah, but I didn't tell you I crashed it. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, yeah, that was funny. I like that one. And like you said, the action pieces were really good. You know what I mean? Like it was classic Beverly Hills Cop action points, and I enjoyed them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody forgot? Good or bad? If not,
I think that's about it on mine.
Yeah.
cool. We'll jump into our ratings. So here at Spoiler Kings, we do things nice and easy. Now, later, or never. Now means you gotta go and watch it right now before it's spoiled. Later means whenever you get a chance, and never means just skip it all together. Don't even waste your time. We'll start off with Anzo. What you ranking this one, man?
I'm giving it a now. Definitely watch it now. It's, again, I still think it's better than the third one, but 1 and 2 are better. But if you want to go and watch a good Eddie Murphy movie, because there's not many of them, this is one of them.
Mhm.
Newer ones, at least.
Yeah, at least newer ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say old ones. Yeah, new ones, maybe not.
Yeah.
All right, Brandman, what you giving it?
I'll give this a now. Uh, it's really no excuse not to watch it. It's on streaming, so it's right at your fingertips. So yeah, it's just a fun, very pleasant surprise of a movie. You know, and it kind of stands alone on its own, so you don't necessarily have to watch the originals to kind of get into this one, which is good. It's just a fun time, and everyone seemed very much in their element. You could tell Eddie Murphy was into it. You know, pretty much everyone was into it. It's just a fun watch. You know, there are some cliches here and there, but you know that's kind of to be expected. But it does nostalgia the right way. So
That's a good way to put it.
I can comfortably give this a no.
Okay. What are you, Brian?
I'll agree. It's a now. They spent money on it. They developed a script. They had good acting. They had nostalgia. They had all the things that are necessary for it. My only complaint about this entire movie, honestly, really is that it wasn't in theaters.
Mhm.
It was quality enough that it should have been in theaters. That's it. Like literally, this was a now movie. It was fun. There's a hole in theaters where you could have played this and it would been fine. People that didn't want to go watch Maxine could go watch Beverly Hills Axel F. You know, like it made sense, but yeah,
Yeah.
me just saying these things. But I think it's still now. It's fun. Need to watch it, especially streaming. You go ahead and pull it on now, but you should be watching it in a theater.
Yeah. And then I'm following suit. It's a now for me, man. It was a lot of fun, good action, good old school kind of action, which I liked. The comedy was pretty good. Seeing Eddie Murphy, coming back as Axel F, Axel Foley, and doing a good job was nostalgia done in the right way, like Brandman said. So definitely a fun time. Appreciate everyone coming in, hanging out with us on the replay. If you like this movie or you hate this movie, leave a comment down below. Let us know why, what you think about it. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, check out Nzo on Big Fort Entertainment. You want to give a shout out to where people can find you at?
Channels right there, Big Fort Entertainment. I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so make sure you go check out Nzo, Big Fort Entertainment, OCC. He's on Chaos Central, all that fun stuff. So appreciate him coming and hanging out with us. If you're in the live, stick around because we're going to get into the comments and move on to our next topic for the night.